All right, hello everybody. I'm Dave Miller. You're, I guess, the hostess. All right, how's everybody doing? All right, it's Dave Miller. I'm the host for Man Cave Media, Monday Night Film Room. I'm not sure how much film we're going to actually look at, but it's the title of the show. And with this being the first one, we're up for suggestions. All right, with me tonight, I've got Bob Warlick, the voice of the Cardinals for Cardinal Radio. I've got Preston Kelly, who's the voice for the Southwest Stallions Radio on the Man Cave Media Radio Network. And, of course, our special guest tonight is Mr. Bob Eason. Started the Northside High School football program. Was a coach for, 15 years, Bob?
15 years there,
all right.
Yep.
And a longtime assistant at Southwest for legendary Phil Padgett. And Bob and I had some good times while I was student teaching. He kind of corrupted the young student teacher just a little bit. We had some good times. So the plan is we're going to look at a little capsule of the teams going into the season. We'll take a little time, and I think everybody's got a few questions to grill Bob with and get his input. And then we're going to look at our matchups for the upcoming week. So, Preston, you want to start with your schools?
Yeah.
And the little capsule for the preview?
Yeah, let's do it. So I think it's really only right that we start with my school, Southwest.
That's what I figured.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Southwest football. Southwest are coming off of a little bit of a disappointing year last year. Looking to turn things around going into this year with Zach Garvey's second full year as the new varsity head coach. And we kind of have some stuff written down in terms of the outlook for the team, some projections that have been thrown out there. Southwest is projected to go 5-5 with a 3-2 East Central Conference record, with their projected losses to be to Croatan, Dixon, White Oak, and East Duplin, and then Clinton as well. I think the biggest thing is they didn't lose anybody, in terms of their football team. Nobody that left the team was too major. Some of the key guys that are remaining with the program, obviously Tristan Tunn Bolden. I'm sure a lot of people have seen his face right here on Man Cave Media Network or My Preston Kelly Media as kind of the lead voice for the Stallions, for that locker room and that football team. So he's going to be the pivotal face, I'd say, for the Stallions offense this year. And then on the defensive side, the defensive quarterback, the linebacker, Alex Torres, he was the team's second leading tackler last year. He's back to kind of be the captain of that defense. And then some other guys that you can throw out there. Quarterback Davion Cephas, he's back. Damari Hill, Mason House, and Eli Williams. Eli was a lineman last year, and he's now going to be a wide receiver. And then Zaire Brown and Jashawn Newton, some linemen to throw out there as well. So overall, Southwest is looking to turn things around after last year. I kind of have a more insightful look as I'm there surrounding the team a lot, and I know the guys have put in a lot of good work. They're coming off of a Battle of the Beach victory, 13-7 over Topsail High School last Friday night. Topsail is also a team that's projected to be a lot better than they were last year. So things seem to be pretty positive heading into this Friday night, where they will face off against the next team that we'll talk about, Richlands High School. So Richlands, kind of like kind of same thing with Southwest last year, maybe a disappointing year for the Wildcats. Bill Good is also coming in his second full year as the Wildcats head coach. Last year, Richlands went 3-8 overall. They did manage to beat Southwest for the fourth consecutive year in a row last year as part of that 3-1 season. It's one of the things to look back on that kind of stands out for this team. They lost to East Duplin last year at home 14-7 in overtime. East Duplin was a very, very good football team last year. They battled a lot in a lot of different games, even though the record might not show that. But they did lose some talent from last year's team. Obviously, their quarterback, C.J. Benedetto, Tyler Claudere, Bo Mills, Trevion Finnegan, and then Dwight Hooker who was the wide receiver for last year's Richlands team, he actually transferred to Southwest, but he won't be playing football for Southwest. He's going to be playing basketball for them. Some guys that obviously stick out for Richlands that they got back, Camden Good, and then Peyton Hughes was the team's leading tackler, managed to get over 100 tackles last year for the Wildcats and was named to the second team All-Area. And then Isaiah Betton was listed the third team All-Area. A lot of people know him better from his soccer capabilities, one of the best soccer players in the area. He's also the team's kicker. So Richlands looking to also have a better second year and Bill Good's second season with the Wildcats. And we will definitely get a good look at both of those teams this Friday night. The last team that I'll talk about before I hand it back over, Dixon High School. Dixon coming off of a really successful season last year. Dixon went 6-6. Obviously, the main thing to take away from Dixon was obviously J.J. Goulad's historical season last year, rushed for over 3,000 yards, scored over 40 touchdowns. And they won the first playoff game in the program's history. But the big thing is that they lost a lot of talent, but they still are projected to go 7-3 this year in that Coastal Conference that they share with teams like Croatan, Swansboro, Richlands, Havelock, West Carteret, just to throw those teams out there. So it's also going to be the first season under Bobby Williams. He was last year's offensive coordinator, obviously the offensive mind between that very, very good Bulldog rushing offense that they had last year. So I think they are looking to keep around the same type of offense and the same type of style of gameplay that they had last year, hopefully defining that same amount of success for this season. So I think that's what you can expect with the three teams. And with that, I'll hand it back over to you.
All right, so I've got a couple questions on your three schools, and this is open to anybody, Bob, or Preston, if you want to answer. We'll go ahead and start with Dixon. All right, so looking at Dixon's roster this year, the record-setting rushing attack pretty much graduated from last year. So do you think a repeat appearance in the playoffs is possible for Dixon this year?
They got to play better defense. I mean, every game they had was a track meet.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
So you can't rush for 1,000 yards and give up 1,000 yards in a game. So if they want to be any better, they got to focus on defense. Their offense is going to be hard to handle week in and week out because you only see it once a year.
Right.
But they got to play better defense.
That's a great answer. Yeah, absolutely.
That's why we've got them
a
here,
perfect
guys.
answer.
They lose that stud, but they've got to get better on defense. Exactly.
Yeah, they like I said, they were every game they were in was very entertaining. It's good, fun football to
Right.
watch. But if you're a coach, it's got to be, tough on you.
So it's tough to prepare for.
Yeah. Their offense is very tough to prepare for. Their defense, not so much. I mean, your game plan is just outscore them.
Right.
So,
All right, one more about Dixon. Do you think they can live up to the predicted 7-3 record?
got to play defense, or the answer is no.
There you go.
Yeah, it's tough to say with a new head coach.
Well,
man.
I think he's going to do a great job. I'm glad they kept him because the rumor was they were going to switch offenses if he didn't stay. And why would you?
Right.
I mean, what you were doing is very successful. Like I said, teams only prepare for it once a year. You look at the other teams they're playing, it's deja vu every week on film. They're all in the spread. They're all doing that.
Right.
That little bit of difference makes it big thing. So keeping him is huge.
And even with that style of offense that they do run, we were talking. I was talking to somebody about that today. Like, you can be a bad football team, but even with the offense that they run, you can be bad, and it's still going to be a hard offense to stop. So it's cool. It's good that they kept around a familiar face to, especially for the players to keep things hopefully rolling in the way that they had it last year.
All right, so you're saying I'm going to have to go see Dixon play.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go to Richlands. All right, graduated 17 seniors from last year's 3-8 team. Do you think a fifth straight win over Southwest is possible this Friday night?
Oof.
Coach?
I think it's a toss-up. I mean, I've not seen either one of them this year, obviously, but, it's a momentum type deal. They've kind of got it right now when Southwest had it. If they get it back.
Right.
But, I know Zach and them been working hard, Richland been working hard. It's probably going to be a tough game, whoever makes the least mistakes. And in the first game of the season, that's something.
Well, I mean, think about it. You're playing a rivalry game, first game of the year.
Exactly.
It's got to be tough.
Yeah, that's like I said. I'm going to go with whoever has the least turnovers and least penalties is probably going to win.
All right, and last one. Peyton Hughes was one of the area's most productive linebackers last season. Do you think he'll be enough to carry that defense with what they've lost?
I don't think so. I mean, you got to have 11 guys out there. And don't get me wrong, Peyton is awesome. He's one of those guys that just swarms all around of the football and everything like that. But if he's going to be the only guy producing for that defense, it's not going to be a good year for the Richlands defense.
All right, let's go to Southwest. Southwest returned some of its most talked about names, but they lost a good chunk of the statistical production from last year. Do you think a 5-5 record is realistic for Southwest this year?
I would think so. I mean, second year coach, probably got a little more experience under his belt. And Zach worked with me for a year at the Commons Middle School.
And that didn't ruin him?
How many games they win last year? Okay. I'd like to think I was influenced on the ones they did. No, but he's a good kid, and I know he's going to work hard. He's a hard-working guy. He's a good person, and I know he's putting the time in. So I would think 5-5 is realistic.
Is he a pretty good weight room guy, Bob?
Oh, he's an all weight room guy, I think. Like, they just got to put it to work. Yeah. Like, let's run the ball.
Well, and so, Bob, you kind of went the direction with my next question is, what do you think Southwest needs to do differently to turn around? And, Bob's already said, weight room's going to be a high priority. So if those kids have already gotten a year in the weight room, that's a huge step.
They're going to be better.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's the only thing. Like, I'll throw out there, like, I think the attitudes in general, like I saw it last year. I was at pretty much every single game, and you got guys throwing temper tantrums on the sideline. That ain't going to do nothing. And I think this year's group is filled with a lot of guys that want to win, and they're okay. Like, failure is not the end of the world for them. And I think the attitude overall helps just every single area of the weight room, the field. It just helps them produce at so much of a higher level.
Well, good. All right, Bob, do you want to do Northside, Jacksonville, and White Oak?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm going to start with Northside. And thanks to Chris Miller, he helped me with some of this. But I tell you what, man, going through their returning players, they're loaded. And, Bob, you chime in. You coached a lot of these kids in middle school, but they return their starting quarterback, their starting running back, their top two receivers, good linebacker, good defensive end. And they're 11-3 last year, 5-1 in the conference. Chris Miller picked them to basically be the county champion this year. And at first I was like, I didn't see that necessarily. When I went through and saw who they returned, quarterback threw for over 2,600 yards, running back, 6 foot, 205 Riley Anderson. We coached Dave.
His uncle and his dad both played at Jacksonville.
I mean, just one of the best athletes I've ever seen. So Northside's loaded, so look for them to be really, really good. And that's kind of cool to see it. I mean, I think it's good to have good football in Onslow County.
100%.
So, Bob, do you have anything to add on that group at Northside?
They're good kids, hard-working kids. Like, I had them at the Commons and everything, and they know how to win. And they're yes or no sir. They do the right thing. They're good kids, like Smoot, awesome kid. Gonna be heck in the secondary, but good football player, even better person. So they got some good quality kids, and I think that matters too when you're talking about winning and losing.
You better believe it does. Yeah, absolutely. So the next team I'll go through is the one that I'm most familiar with, just from calling the games, and just knowing and hanging out with Coach Williams. But Jacksonville finished 12-1. 5-0 last year in the conference, and they're going to, at quarterback, they've got two guys coming in, and sometimes they say if you've got two, you may have none, but I think they've got two really good, different, complementary guys. They've got Isaiah Hillary that throws the ball very well, and then Josiah Benton, who may be one of the better athletes in the county.
He's a good athlete.
Right, and then so Amari Pearson, returning running back, ran for just under 2,000 yards. Saron Thompson, great receiver.
I coached him.
You did? Juice?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, that may be why he's developed so well.
I don't know about that.
He's a good receiver.
If we threw it three times, he caught two.
You said receiver.
That's right.
Here's the decoy for Bob's offense.
Right. And I tell you, the surprise for me has been Tay Burney has moved into Jacksonville, and in the scrimmages, he's 6'6" and been catching the ball. I mean, got great hands, has done a great job for him. And so
Is that a Bernie from another area that I know about?
Yes.
Or is it okay?
That's the Bernie from the other area you know about. But anyhow, probably the most highly recruited kid, not just this year, but in the last decade, is DJ Williams, a defensive back, and he's got offers from many of the SEC schools. He'll probably, I would think, be a two-way player, receiver and defensive back. Really, really good player. And then defense is really going, in my opinion, it's going to be the question. The defensive line's really stout. Linebackers, they lost all 4 linebackers. You've got Sammy Rogers on the back end kind of locking things down in the secondary, of course, with Williams and some of the others. So, I mean, Jacksonville has the potential to be really, really good. Whether they can put it together early or it's going to be late, I don't know. So, you have any thoughts on the Cards, Coach?
Bo does a great job. They got their system. They stick with it. They don't deviate. They, if somebody's going to beat them that hadn't beat them in the past, they're going to have to change a few things on defense that do because, like I said, he's very good at exposing what you do. He's seen. So their coaching staff does a great job.
Yeah. All right. And then lastly, White Oak. And White Oak, unfortunately, it appears, just from looking and doing research, it looks like potentially not quite as promising a year as last year. But I really like Jonathan Byrd. I think he's a weight room guy. I think he's going to get everything out of his kids. Last year they were 5-7, winless in the conference, but they do have some good returners. Keandre Wright, good running back, defensive back, wide receiver, Elliot Pineda, linebacker, Lazarus Bloomer. Both of those guys were second team all area. And a little short from what I understand on numbers from folks who have seen them scrimmage. But I tell you, I like, if they can do great things, it's going to be because Byrd has worked them in the weight room.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I just like the way he really works his kids.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
Well, White Oak's problem is what Northside's problem was a couple years ago. You get stuck in that conference with all those teams, and you can be good. You just ain't as good as them.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
That's exactly right.
So White Oak could be good. Like Northside, all them years they're taking them whippings, they may have been good,
Right.
but you would never know because every team they played was stacked.
Yeah.
I mean, so. And it's tough.
Yeah, 100%.
When they make those decisions to send those teams traveling all those ways to play, and Jacksonville has done a good job of managing it, and Jacksonville actually has the numbers to compete with.
Right.
But if you don't have it, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I'm pulling for Jonathan. I think he's a great coach. I think he does a good job. I said, but, sometimes the other team's just better.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
All right, let's go in alphabetical order with the questions. We're going to start with Jacksonville. All right, Jacksonville's mentality is next man up. Somebody goes down, next guy fills the role. All right, so do you think that's enough to hold off a loaded Big Carolina conference, or will this be a slight rebuild year for Bo and the Cardinals?
I think it depends on the position, really. I think they're a little
you're in your area is linebackers, right?
linebackers, and the offensive line worries me a little bit,
Right,
too.
okay.
They've got 3 really good running backs. I didn't mention Montez Jimenez from coming over from White Oak, and he's I think a very pleasant surprise. But it just depends on where you are. Like Bob will tell you way better than me. If you've got depth in certain areas but not in certain areas, you could get exposed quickly.
And that's the thing. I think the offense is going to be I don't think you have to worry about that offense this year. It's just going to be the defense that they just lost a bunch of guys from. So if they're able to adapt quickly, and Bo's got them trained quickly, like he has obviously with some of his guys in the past, I don't think it'll be a problem. But that's just the thing. We don't know yet because we haven't seen them.
I think as a coach, you never talk about rebuilding. You always talk about reloading.
Right.
Because if you talk about rebuilding, every senior on your team is out, mentally and everything. A good team doesn't rebuild; they just keep reloading. So, and I think Bo's got that mindset. So
just reload.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Last one with Jacksonville. Amari A.P. Pearson is a clear focal point of the offense. Do you think he has to carry the load? Or do you think he's got a supporting cast that's going to help the offense out at Jacksonville?
I mean, he 100% does. I mean,
what's that?
I said he 100% does. I mean, you pair him up, like, AP is obviously going to probably get the majority of the carries for Jacksonville this year, and obviously he's so talented. But Tez is so good as well, and it's got to be so like it's got to make that whole team feel so well about themselves, knowing that like if AP needs like a couple play break or just something like that, they can throw Tez in and probably get the same amount of production just out of him than they would with AP.
Yeah.
I don't think the triple option's all that effective if you only have one back.
Right. I agree.
Right. And I think he's got two really.
Yeah.
I think he's really got three really good backs.
Right. Well, not only that, I think he's got two pretty good wide receivers as well. You know, if you're saying about the Bernie kid with good hands, being 6'6",
and then obviously Saran,
So it's gonna be fun to watch. All right, let's go to Northside. Northside returns almost everyone from last year's 11-3 team. Enters as a preseason #1 for the Coastal Conference. Any chance they don't win the conference outright?
Yeah, there's always a chance.
Well, right, I know, but I mean,
just, you're right. You're playing Havelock. Croatan had their number last year, but I think Northside's going to be legit this year.
It's their conference to lose. Like it's just like they're gonna. It's just run into like I think Havelock's going to be really really good this year. Obviously, I think Croatan's going to be great too. But those are just two of the teams that could give them fits. And you know, obviously, like they have the talent for it. They already look very very good. Based on from what I've seen from the couple scrimmages that they've done, and I just think it's their conference to lose, really.
All right, last one. Reginald Gray set the school passing record as a sophomore. All right, now as a junior, how much better can that offense be with that 1 year of experience? Bob?
Like they did a good job last year. They need probably take a little more of a, if they take the approach, we'll take a little bit of a load off of him and run the ball just a hair better.
Right.
It's going to free up a lot of things for him, and he won't have as much pressure on this year because he does have that experience. So I think he's going to have a good year. I went and watched several games, and like I said, a lot of times when you throw the ball that much, the onus is your quarterback can't make mistakes.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to do some things this year to take a little bit of that pressure off where he's a part of the offense, not the offense.
Yeah.
Right.
So that'll be good.
All right, let's go to White Oak. All right, White Oak has to replace a 3-year starter and athlete of the year. How big of an impact do you think that'll have on the Vikings offense?
I don't think you can say it strongly enough. I mean, he was phenomenal.
Yeah, he was special. I mean, you know, I saw him against Jackson last year, and the kid was a special kid. That's hard to replace.
Where's he going?
I'm not sure.
Did he graduate?
I believe
He's
he graduated.
Barton is the college.
Going to Barton.
Yeah.
I did see him. I take that back. Coach Bird's got to simplify getting that whatever offense, get first downs, keep the clock short, try to win games. I mean that's
so
the
Bob
bottom
Eason
line.
style, 3 yards in the cloud of dust.
He can get 4 occasionally if you want to. Okay, but you know, run the ball and play good defense.
Right.
Keep the clock short. You know, because these teams that you play are going to throw it around enough where they're always going to give you a chance to win.
Right.
Yeah.
they can't get out there and drain the clock for some reason.
Right.
They want to pass it no matter what. So if he will get in something and run it, and then can manage to play some really good defense, he'll have some opportunities. So.
All right, last one. Vikings snapped a 2-decade playoff drought last year. Is that a new baseline or a product of the new realignment?
Man, I mean,
Everybody's in the same system. I take it as a new baseline.
I like it. I mean, I just Bob, and that goes back to what you said earlier. You know, talking about White Oak, and you know, they may not have the record, but playing in the conference they play in, it's huge.
Yes.
Now, think about it: Rose, Conley, New Bern. You know, and the only one that hasn't been super successful over the past several years is South Central.
Well, and then they're going to play Northside non-conference,
right?
Which these days that matters even if you don't win because you got these points and stuff.
Yep.
And, you know, I don't know who else they play non-conference, but I'm assured that when they get through with their season, their schedule is going to rank up there with some of the top teams.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know, good luck. You know.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got the last 3, actually 4. We've got Lejeune in there, not a whole lot with Lejeune, but I've got a little bit. All right, Croatan, let's start with them. They went 11-2 last year, shared the conference title with a 5-1 record. They all beat each other last year for the title. All right, and of course, record setting is they advanced to the 4th round of the 5A playoffs last year. All right, which is the deepest run in school history. They're being projected to go 9-1 overall, 5-1 in the Coastal Conference. All right, with that one loss being the Northside. Key returners: Cannon McBride at quarterback and kicker. Should be playing soccer. Running back Andrew Boucher is another quality soccer player, but had first team all area last year, had over 1,000 yards last year. All right, so they've got some really good returners offensively. So Croatan lost, leading receiver, leading tackler. I'm going to do questions since this is my part. I'll let you guys answer, and we'll go school to school. Just mix it up a little bit. All right, so they're losing their leaders: receiver, leading tackler, leading sacks. Is there still a chance that Croatan can finish in the top 2 in that conference with what they've got coming back?
Anybody forgot that Havelock's in that conference?
That's what I keep saying.
Right. I agree.
I mean, they're pretty dang good.
Right.
And from all projection, I've heard they're going to be very good. So it could be a dogfight, and you get back to, penalties, bad things happening during a game. You got 3 teams that could do very well in that conference.
Correct.
I think Coach Gurley's done a good job with Croatan, and as big a weapon as that kid is at quarterback, in high school football, when you have to start every drive at your 20, the success rate is not as high, and that kid kicks it in the end zone every time.
Look, he's like I said, Bob,
Yeah.
the 2 kids, McBride and Boucher, would help their soccer team tremendously.
Oh, I'm sure.
They are tremendous athletes. So, they're probably happy they're playing football. I know their opponents in soccer are happy they're playing football. All right, last one. Northside is the only team picked to beat Croatan this year. Again, like Bob said, what about Havelock? All right, does the panel agree, or is Croatan the pick of the rematch? How do you think Croatan and Northside go this year?
Where's the game at?
I think it's
That's a good
Northside.
question.
I think it's at Northside.
Well, at Northside, 100% Northside.
Yep.
Yeah.
I played at Croatan a bunch of times, and it was close when it shouldn't have been. It's just a place that's tough to play.
It is.
We were a lot better, and it was close. And, get down there on that windy coast in the cold of the winter, and those kids they're tough to beat.
All right, so Bob, I'm going to throw a question out since you brought that up, because soccer, I had a couple schools that I hated going to just because. So is Croatan one of those places that's just hard to play at?
I hated playing at Croatan and Swansboro occasionally, Clinton for sure. Okay, just throwing that out there.
But it's funny because I think every team, no matter what sport, there are certain schools that they have to go and play that's like their Achilles heel.
East
and
Duplin
it's
was
crazy.
For us. Yeah, East Duplin was for us.
It's crazy how that happens, for different sports, different teams, but they all have a couple schools where they just don't like going to play there.
For me, it wasn't like if we went to East Duplin or somewhere, it was always tough to play. But they were good.
Right.
So you knew it was going to be tough anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
But you would go down to Croatan back in the day, or Dixon or Swansboro or somewhere who might not quite be as good as you and have a tough game. And it's kind of like, man, I hate this place. Right. when if you were at home, it would have been ugly.
Yeah.
Yes.
You actually liked going to East Duplin no matter how good they were, didn't you?
Yeah, well, that's always a good game. You always the good teams, no matter where you play, it's going to be a good game. But sometimes you're playing those teams, and because the kids don't focus up like they should. Oh, man, they're still kids.
Right.
So.
All right, let's go to Beulahville and talk about East Duplin. All right, local procrastinators project East Duplin to go 8-2 overall and run the table 5-0 in the East Central Conference. All right, with 2 projected losses coming to non-conference play against James Keenan and Jacksonville.
Wow.
Key returners: running back, defensive back Keyshawn McKinney, defensive end Samaj Scott, running back Noah LeBlanc, 6'5" wide receiver, also a basketball standout Dominic Hall, and quarterback and cornerback Dwayne Davis. All right, saw time at quarterback as a sophomore. All right, so looking at that, it looks like they've lost a few key players off of last year's team. All right, so how do you think East Duplin losing its starting quarterback, leading rusher, and leading receiver, can this program really run the East Central table again with that much turnover on offense?
They're still running the wing tee.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Has Battle ever not run that?
That's what I'm saying, man.
That's it.
All these teams in the spread, they don't practice against a run offense every day, so they're like, they'll be fine.
And I know that's one of the reasons Jacksonville's got them on the schedule, just to see a variety. It's something different on defense.
Yeah.
They run that wing tee and play great defense. That's hard to beat, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, tough combination.
Yep. All right. Last one for East Duplin. All right. Beating Wallace Rose Hill has become a season-opening habit for East Duplin. How much stock should the panel put in that trend continuing this year?
I know Coach Motsinger, and I've seen him do some interviews, and he's as good a down talker as Coach Phil Paget was.
I'm glad you just said that, because I was going to ask that question.
He's talking down like nobody expects him to do anything, but they're still at Wallace Rose Hill, and it's still East Duplin. Probably go with the home team.
Right.
Well, you know who does that too, right? Battle does that too.
Oh, yeah.
By East Duplin. So, I mean, they just go
everybody
tit for
back
tat.
in the day took a class on that.
All right, let's go to Swansboro. 2026 outlook. Local procrastinators project Swansboro to be a 3-7 team and 0-6 in the Coastal Conference in 2026. With a projected 3-1 start, started behind wins over South Columbus, Pamlico, and East Carteret. Summer workouts attendance has doubled from a year ago, and the program has adopted a built-in-the-dark mentality borrowed from Wake Forest. All right, key returners, Carmelo Beasley, wide receiver, first-team All-Area. Linebacker Connor Roth, third-team All-Area. Offensive lineman Nehemiah Pickett, Wesley Robinson, Aaron Hawkins, and Mason Gunner. So they've got 4 offensive linemen returning back. And, of course, running back and linebacker Anthony Anderson, team's second leading rusher as a sophomore. All right, so do you think Swansboro breaking in a new quarterback after 4 straight losing seasons, does anything about this year's approach actually change the pattern?
I think so. I mean, I really, really like Carmelo. I mean, we saw what he did last year, but now, and not to mention, he did that as a sophomore last year, and he's only going to be a junior this year. And I know they lost, obviously, Kevin Till at quarterback, but when we watched Swansboro and Southwest play in a scrimmage last week, Carmelo only touched the ball 4 times, and he scored a touchdown on 3 of the times that he scored or touched the football. So I think you're going to see a lot of him, and I don't think it's really going to matter who's under center for them. Carmelo's going to be too busy doing his thing and really helping that offense a lot out this year.
I went and saw Swansboro play a couple times last year. They were massive. I would have loved to line them up in the power eye and see what they could have done. I mean, I'm just saying, they've got a big team with some quality, big physical kids. I think they're going to have to get down in the trenches and figure that out.
Right.
I mean, I think they could be a lot more competitive, but, you know, there's always that good athlete. Hey, we got to give them in space, and you do, but you got to figure it out to do both ways.
Right.
And I do know this about it. They do work hard down there.
Yeah.
They do camps. They do all the right things. Their middle school does good stuff. They're working hard to be better. So I'm hoping that they do well.
Yeah, I met Coach Beasley back in June at a buddy's house. Really nice guy. He's got some good insight.
Heck yeah.
Wish him really well.
Yeah.
Because I think he's trying to do the right things. So, hopefully he can get it turned
100%.
around.
Like I said, sometimes they're down there, like I said, we coached against them in middle school, and, they worked hard. They had a good system in. They did all the right things. And that's going to matter sooner or later. So hopefully they'll get it together.
All right, and then Lejeune. Lejeune's got a new coach, and don't have a whole lot of info. Do you know that George Ketchum, who's a Navy veteran, has been hired as coach? They've been struggling over the last several years. What are the chances that he might be able to turn around at Lejeune? Bob, you got anything?
I coached a rugby team.
Right.
And there's always turnover. Guys are always in and out and everything. I know that's kind of the same way with kids.
Well, yeah.
You can't build the same tradition that you have somewhere else.
Right.
So he's got to hope for a one-on season of really good kids.
Right.
And try to build on that. And then he's probably got less time than anybody to figure out what he needs to run because of his personnel.
Correct.
So,
I mean, it's a tough situation.
It is a tough situation.
You know, and football especially, because you've got kids coming and going every year. You're not sure what your roster is going to like year to year. You know, it's tough, and especially football where, you know, you look at all these schools we talked about that have established program, established coaches, have a weight room. It's hard to get that at Lejeune.
What he's got to do is build 1 year in culture type stuff.
Right.
Like, he's got to sell the kids on something. We need to be good this year. And he's got to have an offense or something ready that, like, it may not be the one he wants to run in his mind, but he's got to have one ready to fit whatever situation he needs. So it's tough. It's a job that if you take, you got to expect that kind of thing. Yeah.
All right, so we've covered all our schools, kind of a little outlook for this year. So before we get into the matchups for this Friday night, we'll do let's grill Bob Eason a little bit. You know, I think everybody's got a couple questions they want to ask him. And so Preston or Bob, one of you guys want to start? Anybody?
Go ahead, Preston.
I'll start.
And let me say something first. My wife's here tonight, and I feel like I got me a little bit of a groupie. So this is nice. I appreciate it.
Bob, I thought she was here for me.
She may be, but she's acting like she's here for me, so that's a good thing.
She's really here for me. Let's go ahead and clarify
that. Could be true.
But I'm going to start out with this. Obviously, we know your history at Northside and everything like that. How good has it been for you to watch? Obviously, the program was in a little bit of a lull the last few years, and then for them to kind of explode back onto the scene last year. How much of a good feeling was that to watch them do that?
It was great. Well, I mean, we always keep up with them. I come to games occasionally. I try to show up and be supportive and everything. Like I said, I coach the middle school team, trying to do my part to help out and that type of thing. But I know Coach Pollock and them. They're just like every other coach. They work hard, and they got that situation. They got sent to a conference where, like, they did scrimmages before the season. They looked really good. Well, you get sent over there against New Bern and some of those teams, and you still may have been good. But I'm glad that where they're at now, and it's paying off. And taking your lumps back then is paying off now. So I'm super proud of them.
Yeah. Bob, just kind of give a little summary of you, which we haven't done. You came in at Northside when it opened in 2001, stayed till 2015. Overall record, 144-58. Won probably the toughest conference in the state, in my opinion, at one time. The East Central 2A, 07 and 08. And from 11 to 14, you were the outright champion. You shared it in 2015. 4 trips to the Eastern Final, and just an incredible career.
I want to correct that. We went to the Eastern Final 6 times because I was feeling like the Buffalo Bills there for a while. but my wife kept reminding me that a lot of people would like to get that far.
You better believe
it. Yep, amen.
It didn't feel very good the day after, but later on, you know, it was an accomplishment and everything. But the only reason I correct you is because I'm sure the kids are out there like, no, we want more than that.
Is that right? At Northside?
Yeah, we went six times.
Okay. I remember
Yeah.
One thing I remember when you were kind enough to let me come over and help, and that was some of the most fun I ever had, but you started the season. I don't care who we played. It was usually going to be White Oak. But you started every year really, really organized and always well prepared for that first game. Since we're going into opening week, what are the things that you as a coach would do to emphasize and make sure your guys were ready to play in week 1?
Well, it was a lot of mental prep. Of course, everybody's out there practicing hard and everything, but when we got in that first week, every day we would have a 30, 45-minute session of anything that could happen in a game. And we would just do it. We try to be like a college with 10-minute increments of everything. And we would have the kids on the sideline. We'd run them out. We call out the situation so that in the first game you look like you're in the 10th game.
Yeah.
Because if you're out there, sometimes you're in the first game and you look around like, who's on kickoff or who's on punt team or something like that. And I'm like, no, when we do it, and we drilled it. So in the first game when something happened, whether it was a safety or something, our kids knew where to be. And that's huge.
You better
and of course, everybody's always ready to play their first game physically. They want to go, but mentally is where it's at. So we did a lot of mental prep. And because in the first game, it's like these rivalry games and these teams, it's the easiest game to get beat when you may be the better team.
Right.
because stuff's going to happen. So
yeah, I remember that. I remember that vividly. And you always were really good on special teams in week 1. Always.
It's a big part of the game. Like I said, that's why I think Croatan is going to be tough. That guy, great quarterback, but punting and kicking, he's doing good things for him.
Wild.
He's a weapon.
Wild.
My turn?
Your turn, Dave.
All right. So, Bob, over the past 2 years, all the football teams in the state have got an extra half week of practice. What could you have done with an extra half week of practice going into your first game?
Going into the first game, I don't know. I'd be so amped up. I'd say, let's take it back. I want to play because you've been lifting weights all summer. You've been doing 7-on-7. You've been doing all the stuff. So an extra half week of practice, I don't know. I probably would have hated it. Come on, dude. Let's get it on.
Because always in the past it was August 1, or the week of. Well, now that, the past 2 weekends, August 1 has fallen on the weekend.
Yeah.
So they've started the Wednesday before, so they've actually gotten a half week
August 1st
of practice.
Should be like Christmas Day, man.
Yeah, right.
That was the deal. So, but, I'm sure these guys have a plan and, maybe an extra couple of reps on offense and that type of thing. So,
all right, next one. What's your opinion on the new realignment with 8 classifications for football?
I can't wait.
It's back in the day it was 4.
Right.
And then they went to 4, but 2 in each one.
Right.
So 8. I mean, I guess it's good. It's not a participation trophy because you got to get out there and win it.
Right.
And the teams are good, and it makes it a little more realistic for some of the lower level teams or smaller teams. So I'm not against it. I mean, but I'm not out there doing it either.
Right.
And I know the situation where you get some of these teams there that won one football game, but they had a power ranking system, this, that, and the other. But I don't know how else you would do it. So
right.
That's above my pay grade.
All right. Has anybody got any more for Bob?
Well, just one last one.
Well, it's not the last one. I got one more, but go ahead.
All right. Well, you've been retired for 10 years or so. I know you remember the special moments, the special games. Kind of what do you take in the big picture that meant the most to you as being a high school football coach and a real successful one?
Well, I was fortunate enough to coach with Phil Padgett at Southwest, and Dave was there.
Yep.
And then I got to take the job at Northside. So a lot of my coaches, and that was super good, fun. Always had a good staff, always had fun, the wives and everybody. Both my boys were my ball boys, that kind of stuff. They played for me. So I have a lot of good football game memories, but my memories off the field are even better. The special stuff we got to do. I got to coach with Tony Marshburn, who's a legendary basketball coach, and people don't know he was my JV head football coach for a long time. I've had a lot of my coaches go on and coach at different places and high-level type stuff. And so, I think that's what carries me along, just, my family stuff, my wife loading up 10 kids in the Suburban heading to the game. That was always good. So I think that's my biggest part of it.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, I've got one last one. Being a coach, knowing coaches, some people call it superstitions. I always joke that it was routine. Did you have a routine for game week, like certain dinners, certain nights, wearing certain clothes, things like that?
The eating, the clothes. I wore shorts. I got that from Phil Padgett.
Yep.
We wore shorts. It could be 0 degrees. We were in shorts, and everybody's like, "Why?" I said, "Well, tradition is one thing." I said, "But also, if you go out there and you're wearing shorts, and the other team's out there freezing to death," I said, "Man, look at those guys in shorts." I felt like it was a toughness factor there, but maybe we were just crazy. I don't know. I look back on it. Maybe some sweatpants would have been good, but the shorts were something we did.
All right. So let's look at our matchups for this week. And the last matchup we're going to do is going to be our marquee matchup. All right, so first one we're going to start off with Northside and White Oak. All right, Northside won last year's meeting 35-16. White Oak's last series win was a 48-6 blowout back in 2024. All right, so it's gone both ways past 2 years. What are you guys' thoughts on the matchup this week?
I'll say this. what Coach Pollock did from 2024 to 2025, no, 25 to 26. Well, I had it right the first time.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. The turnaround's unbelievable. I talked to Bob about that off the air. Unbelievable. I think Northside wins handedly because they have evolved, man. 2 years ago, they were not a good football team, and they're loaded for bear right now.
I just I think it's funny. We have on here some like a computer prediction, and I've been looking at some of them. I'm just like, what are they basing on? It's obvious that they're basing off of last year's statistics and everything like that, but I just think that it's just going to continue on, especially you add in the fact that White Oak's so young this year with all the new talent that they're going to have taken over. I mean, they're starting a freshman at quarterback this year for varsity. So, I mean, and you look at that Northside team, and they just brought pretty much everybody back.
Right.
And I think that plays the biggest factor. And, like, it's Northside's game to lose, and I think they're going to win in dominant fashion.
All right, and for the public listening, that game is at White Oak, and of course it is a 7 o'clock kickoff.
Go Monarchs.
Shocker.
I love Coach Burr, but, you know.
All right, our next matchup is Jacksonville at West Carteret. All right, which will be a 7 o'clock kickoff. Bob, you got some insight, some input?
I did see West Carteret play last year, and Coach Barrow does a good job down there. But there ain't no way that's another like situation where their defense, they got to play better defense. Their offense does a great job offensively, but Jacksonville will roll.
Their quarterback was really good last year.
He could
got some,
sling it.
Yeah, West Carteret's not bad. I'm not saying that, but Jacksonville just does things that's going to, I think, be too much for them.
Yeah, but I tell you what, that's one of those places, Bob, you talk about like Croatan, where you go in there and you don't really want to play, and sometimes momentum kind of goes against you. That's one of those places for
Carteret County teams. They make it hard.
Well, look, and I'm just being at Jacksonville forever. West Carteret was one of those teams that we always struggled with.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I remember the game, we were up 21-0, had a lightning delay, came out and ended up losing up 22-21. You know, I mean, just seen some crazy stuff with West Carteret, so nothing's a guarantee.
Right, oh, for sure.
But I like Jacksonville's chances.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, next one, East Carteret at Croatan. All right, 7 o'clock kickoff. Croatan has dominated last year's meeting 60-0. All right, and of course, Cannon McBride threw 5 touchdown passes in the first half alone. What do you guys think?
Coach Frazier at East Carteret, you know, he's got one of them places where it's spread out year in and year out. You don't know what you're going to have and everything, and I'm sure he does a good job, but I think Croatan's got too much returning, and they're pretty good, so I think East Carteret's going to have a really tough time.
Bob, Preston, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, we wrote down kind of just what it would take for each team to win. And I wrote down for East Carteret, for them, if they have to win, I wrote down that Jesus had to come back for them to win this game. I mean, I just don't see I just don't see how Croatan doesn't win this game. Things would have to go catastrophically bad, I think, for them to lose this game.
All right, this one might be a little more interesting. Dixon at Topsail. Of course, 7 o'clock kickoff. Last year's meeting was an instant classic. Dixon needed overtime escape with a 42-40 win over Topsail. All right, Dixon enters under new coach Bobby Williams after winning the program's first ever playoff game a year ago. Topsail enters under a new head coach, TJ Albert, after an 0-10 season last year. All right, what are your thoughts?
Little known fact, my wife used to be principal at Dixon High School, and this is a hated rivalry.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out for the people that do not know.
Oh my gosh,
a rivalry game.
Hey,
first
back
of
in the
season.
day, it was awful.
Yeah, so, but I'm going to go with it being tough to play Dixon's offense first game without a bunch of film on it. And I'm sure Topsail has been working hard, but I'm going to go Bulldogs.
Yeah, I sort of agree. I think what Bob nailed, if they can play just decently on defense, they'll have
a chance.
Yeah, well, a good chance.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw the wrench in this. I think people are overlooking Topsail this year. Southwest just scrimmaged them in the Battle of the Beach last Friday night, and Southwest did win. But I'm telling y'all right now that Topsail, I think, is going to be better than what people think. I'm not saying they're going to go out and win 10 games, but I just think that they're going to be a lot more competitive. And I think just looking at what Dixon kind of has for this year, I think it's going to be a scrappy game, but I think somehow Topsail is going to come out of it as victorious. So I'm going to take Topsail.
All right, next one we're going to look at Swansboro at South Columbus. 7 o'clock start. It's a long ride. All right, South Columbus beat Swansboro last year 27-21, which was also a week 1 meeting. What are your thoughts on that game?
Is there nobody closer to play?
I guess not.
Holy cow.
You've been there before.
Well, every team in Onslow County should play each other. We should be traveling to South Columbus to play football.
I would agree.
That's just my opinion. But I don't know. I don't know what South Columbus does anymore. Back in the day, they were in the wing too, and they were tough. And we played them in 2 Eastern.
I remember those games.
It's tough.
Matter of fact, Bob, I sat in the stands with your wife watching those games.
Well, but that's a long ride for the first game of the year. So with that alone, it'll be tough to win. But I'm pulling for the Pirates. I'm hoping they do good. But I'm just saying the ride may be the factor.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, next one. Got 2 left. Wallace Rose Hill at East Duplin. Kickoff is 7 o'clock. East Duplin won last year's meeting 21-0 to open the 2025 season. Rivalry has produced some of the area's most memorable playoff games. East Duplin beat Wallace Rose Hill 28-26 in 2022 in the Eastern Final. And Wallace Rose Hill snapped East Duplin's 22-game win streak in 2023 in an overtime thriller. What are you guys expecting out of this matchup this week?
Dave, you remember Mr. Joe?
Yes.
Mr. Joe always said that playing at home was worth a touchdown.
Okay.
So I'm going to roll with the battle and the boys at home.
I like it. By a touchdown.
By a touchdown.
Preston, Bob, you got anything?
I tell you, man, I think those guys do as good a job as anybody.
I would agree 100%.
Battle in his career.
Yes.
I heard Wallace looked really good against New Hanover, and so I'm going to go against the grain.
Ooh, you're going to go with Wallace, huh?
Ooh, I like that pick.
It's a dogfight. I mean,
right.
And talking about rivalry games first week, that's
there's a bunch of them.
Good old country rivalry right there. I love it.
That is the crazy thing is all these rivalry games week 1. But I'm gonna take my safe bet. I just can't go against Battle and East Duplin. I've seen way too much of him and his team over the last 4 years being a Southwest guy, and I'm going to take East Duplin to beat Wallace Rose Hill, but I think it will be a scrappy win.
All right, and for our marquee matchup, the rivalry, Southwest at Richlands.
I've been a part of that rivalry.
All right, Bob, give us a little insight on that rivalry since you've been a part of it.
Richlands?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm an old stallion. In my heart, I'm pulling for the Stallion, so that's what I'm gonna go with.
There you go.
I don't know if the new coach switched offenses or anything, but go Stallions.
All right, just a little background. All right, from 1988 to 2022, Richlands did not beat Southwest. All right, that was snapped with a 7-6 win in 2022. The Wildcats have won, what's that, the last 4 meetings?
Yep.
Or is it 5?
It's 4.
All right. So what are you guys' thoughts?
I was there from 89 to 2001, and it got close occasionally, but never too close. But, things change. But I'm hoping that the Stallions can get it back under control.
Yeah, I think in a close game, I kind of see the Stallions getting it back in their favor.
All right, Voice of the Stallions, Preston, what are you thinking?
I mean, we all know who I'm taking.
Oh, we know that.
But
I just want to hear your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, I think it's so. I was talking to Coach Garvey today, and we happened to be talking about this upcoming week and the game especially. And the crazy thing is, and it's something that I think I've heard a lot from Southwest former coaches and players, is that this game, it's made out to be a big rivalry now, but on the Southwest end of things, it never used to be this big time rivalry thing. Sure, it was a big game against Richlands, but because we dominated against them for so long. It just, it never was as big of it is now. And now that Richlands has kind of been the more, dominant team over the last few years, it's all of a sudden turned into that big marquee matchup. And I do think, I was telling Coach Garvey today, like, taking bias out of it, I've never felt so good about a group of guys and about the program that I have this year. I think Garvey's had, the full season last year, now going into this year, to kind of just get his hand on the team and make the program kind of his. And the best thing is that I see a lot of old school stuff, kind of dating back to Coach Pageant, what he did, but also some stuff that you see a lot today with the modernization of it, with Coach Garvey obviously being the type of coach that he is. But of course, I'm going to roll with the Stallions, and I think that they finally turn things back in our way to start the season out, and hopefully what will be a great season for the Stallions.
Well, I'm looking forward. Of course, Bob's going to be at Jacksonville. You're going to be at Richlands. It was a Southwest game. So I'm trying to figure out what game I'm going to go to. I might go to East Duplin. I'm not going to go to West Carteret because I'm expecting the Cards will be all right. I might even go watch. Actually, maybe I'll do a couple games because I'll do like Ben Marsh. Everybody, if you don't know Ben Marsh, I see Ben Marsh in random places, and I'll see him in a game and talk to him. I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm leaving." I said, "Where are you going?" He says, "I'm going to Northside for a game." That's awesome. So there's Friday nights where Ben Marsh will catch 2 or 3 games. That's cool. Just see a little bit, and so hopefully maybe one of these Monday nights we can go ahead and get him on our show because he's got some good insight as well.
Might run into Tommy Barnes.
I see Tommy. You're right, but I see Tommy on a regular basis, since we work together. All right, so look, this is the first week of, our Monday night film room for Man Cave Media. It's a work in progress. Next week we'll break down the games from Friday night, and we'll do a preview of the upcoming games for the following Friday night. And we're going to try to figure out what guest coach or guest personality we're going to bring in. I want to thank Bob Eason.
I was fixing to say I wanted to throw it in.
You want Bob Eason back?
Goody.
Oh, that'd be even better. Look,
Goody threw it in there while we were talking.
I'm retired.
If it can be us 4, that would be freaking awesome because Bob's got some great insight being – a head coach.
Say, run the ball and play defense.
Because I've got a bunch more questions I'd like to ask, but I know we're getting close to our hour mark, and I don't want to be like our old shows, 2-minute 6-pack, that's supposed to be an hour and go an hour and a half because we kept talking.
We had fun doing that show.
But, I want to thank Bob and Preston for their insight, and really looking forward to the upcoming shows. And again, public, if you're listening, comment, suggestions, anything you want to see different, added, changed, we're up for suggestions. This is a work in progress, and hopefully we can keep doing this and having some fun. So I want to thank you guys for being here, and thank everybody for listening, and we'll see you next Monday night.